and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
We can call each other dog. Look at these kids down there at De Anza College on the baseball team who sat around while a young woman who was unconscious, a 17-year-old young lady was unconscious from drinking. How many of us have drank too much when we were younger, weren't used to alcohol, and passed out who had problems? Here's a 17-year-old with a bunch of members of the De Anza College baseball team around her in a room. She has been raped. The woman his face is covered with spit. That's spit. I shouldn't say spit. I mean vomit. And two young women on the De Anza soccer team were alerted by another young lady as to what was happening in this room of this party, and they forced their way in there and got that young lady out.
Wow.
And this is going on right now. This case has been brought to Jerry Brown's attention as State Attorney General after the San Jose City District Attorney refused to press charges, saying she didn't have enough evidence. Evidence. I mean, it's the screwiest thing I've ever heard. But the bottom line is
if she doesn't get it together, I pray that she opens her eyes and sees what's going on.
Well, the thing is that she's worked with women's groups. It's a strange situation. But you wonder why if they could all this could happen with Barry Bonds threatening Hank Aaron's home run record, Balco and all this sort of thing, all the attention that's being diverted, and people can be subpoenaed and so forth. And I don't understand why these kids can't be forced. They can't be subpoenaed to be put under oath and say what they saw.
Because that girl's life is ruined now and traumatized, but the DA's got her finger up and wants to be in denial and act like, oh, well, you know, there's nothing we can do to subpoena the kids. You know what, these kids, if they were that evil to rape a girl while she was asleep, they deserve a year or two in jail to get their lives right. And it reminds me of the boy who, this is the most disturbing thing that I've heard all year. In fact, I cut my lip. This is the most disturbing thing I've heard in 2 years, okay? And I hear a lot of disturbing stuff. My mom called me. Unfortunately, I found out my mom has some type of tumor. They just found out, but she's doing all right. I'm believing for her healing or whatever. So she called me and she said, son, have you heard what's happened? She lives in Houston, Texas. A young Hispanic boy, fairly good looking, goes to a party about a month ago in Spring, Texas. And I'm kind of paraphrasing exactly what happens because I haven't even seen the news on this. I've been working so hard. But she told me that a group of kids beat this boy to death, almost to death. Then, after they beat him, they shoved a bat up his behind. Then when they took the bat out, they left him for dead, carved ugly looking Mexican in his skin, and shoved a pole up his behind, okay? From my knowledge, he went and had like 20, 25 surgeries to get his face back intact. Actually, I heard he had 30 surgeries, but I don't want to over-exaggerate, but he had a bunch of surgeries, and some Christian organization said, you know, this is so horrible, we're going to take this kid on a cruise. The kid went on the cruise and jumped off the boat and killed himself.
Oh my God.
And it was just the most, for some reason, I don't know the kid, I don't know all the facts, I've never seen what he looked like, but I could just picture the pain and the anguish of him and his family. And for me to sit there and act like that doesn't totally disturb me, and it didn't disturb me. I heard it 4 days ago, and it's been just disturbing me. And I thought to myself, those kids deserve, I'm not one to say anybody deserves to go to prison or deserves to be hurt unless I really mean it. But if those kids beat him the way that it was explained to me and had the nerve to shove a bat up his behind, they deserve all a good 7 years in prison. And they need to think about to do something that vile, that sick, that disgusting, that abominable, you deserve punishment. It's one thing to be evil and beat a man up. It's another thing to be evil and jump a man and beat him up. But it's a whole nother bracket of evilness to take a knife and carve obscenities into a man's body and then take a bat and shove it up his butt. You deserve punishment, and Americans need to wake up. Christian people need to wake up, and they need to stop being so scary and start taking a stand and standing up for something rather than sitting there acting like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, well, here's a Christian man. He's on TV. He's cussing at us. He's saying something that said, you know what? The bottom line is, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. That man's, that child's parents, the only reason why you didn't hear about those teenagers getting the hell knocked out of them, the only reason why you didn't hear anything else about what happened to the kids that shoved that bat up that kid's ass is because it wasn't my son. See, because if it was my son, I can rest assured right now I would have took things into my own hands, because that's going too far. And I think if more people start having more of a conviction that what if that was your child having a bat up his ass, laying there half dead in the parking lot, or like this girl being raped by a bunch of football players with vomit and all over her body.
Well, recently on TV, I just saw there was an incident in, I believe it was Wichita, Kansas, I believe. And I could be incorrect with this, but there's a young woman who was in a convenience store. She was bleeding to death right in front of the cashier, and people were actually walking over her to do business like she didn't exist. If she would have got immediate help and someone would have bothered to call 911, she would have survived. Instead, people just let her lay there and bleed to death and completely ignore her. And she was black. And these were blacks that I saw on the screen that were doing. I don't even like the word black. Okay,
I hear you.
But the whole thing is just crazy because people are dumb. They're numb. They're numb. So if it's not your own sister or brother, and these games, people are. I saw a thing on a guy in a Utah prison who killed a number of people, and he couldn't get over how they didn't get up. He thought they'd get up like they did in the games, where you'd shoot somebody and they get up and they keep going. He had no sense of reality. I mean, what is it? What kind of reality is it that people are so numb?
Let me tell you something. If you see somebody dying or hurt or drastically injured, and you walk over them and act like you don't see them, don't expect somebody to help you out when you're dying or when you're shot and you're in that moment of desperate need. And don't think that God is just going to look at you and say, oh, this healthy man could have helped pick her up and drove her to a hospital, but he didn't do it. Why? Because he didn't want to get involved and he didn't have any compassion. Don't think that God will close his eyes on actions like that. I don't have to worry about some of the things that come on people. And I don't wish evil on people. But I do want people to be aware that these kind of behaviors is unacceptable.
Well, how about at the hospital in Los Angeles, where that woman was dying right at the hospital in emergency, and these folks are pleading to take care of her. And one of these people actually calls 911, and they say, take her to a hospital, and they say, we are at a hospital. And she died. She literally died at this hospital in Los Angeles. The emergency folks wouldn't even look at her. This just happened. This just happened.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's horrible.